Welcome back to the next edition of Talon Talk. We've got another one this week with a former Osprey great in Eden Meyer. From winning half marathons to claiming 15 all-conference honors at UNF, Eden made a name for herself running the streets of Jacksonville and in the collegiate ranks. Now she's doing it professionally, and find out about how she made this happen and what running means to her life in this week's edition of Talon Talk. Thank you so much for being on today, Eden.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
So just give a quick update. 2 months ago, about you had, your life switched up and you were in Atlanta. Now you're in Jacksonville. So what's kind of been going on?
Yeah, since a lot of things just shut down, working from home mostly, the team can't train together. So if I was just going to be working remotely and running on my own, I figured as much as I love Atlanta, take the opportunity to spend as much time with my family as I can. So I have been back in Jacksonville the last 2 months, just training and working from here and spending a lot of time with my family. So
What do they have you do mostly when you work remotely for them?
yeah, so I help with the events team, mainly customer service. I kind of I help out with any tasks that someone with a more important job would need help with. So kind of just jump in there. But a lot with customer service, emailing with a lot of Atlanta Track Club members, and then people who are, interested in our events. Especially now, there have been a lot of questions. We've had to cancel a lot of events, obviously, for this next little bit here. So just kind of keeping up with that. Um, but yeah, it just gives me a chance to talk with members of running the running community in Atlanta, and even walking. And but yeah, that's kind of my role, just kind of support there.
Is that common for the Atlanta Track Club? I mean, having their runners participate in that type of work?
So I am not the first one to have this job. A couple of my teammates have done it before me, so we have some good stories there. Um, There are a few of us, not everyone. Some others have like other full-time jobs or in school. This is just the way that my contract worked out, and kind of what we were interested in. So there are others who do it as well, and there are others who don't. But yeah.
What are some of the things that the organization does? Do you sell products too? You set up events and you host different things like that. What
Yeah.
are the different facets?
We do we do have like a little store online, but mainly like our focus is to just keep Atlanta healthy, just running and walking, and we just provide a lot of resources for people to do that. We're also really big into youth and high school, middle school, high school running. We have a 100 kids program for younger kids, and it's just all kind of aimed at keeping Atlanta healthy. We with all our events and stuff. There's some of the I some of doing and never done before. Just the support that you have from the Atlanta community and everyone coming together is really essential. Like the AJC Peachtree Road, for example. And then especially now that we can't really have these big races going on. We've done some like virtual races and are just providing a lot of like online resources and like live classes almost every day of the week, just to help people kind of stay healthy and motivated. And especially during this time, I feel like exercise and all that stuff is really important. So yeah, that's kind of really, I guess, high level, but it's just an overview. But they really do so much, and everyone at the organization works so hard, and it's really cool to get to watch them do that and to help them in any way I possibly can. Just because it I've never seen an organization like it, and it's been really cool and really special to get to be at least a little part of it, maybe.
How did that work when you signed that contract with them? Um, Coming out of college, it's not like a typical, getting drafted into the NBA, where
Yeah.
you go and you get drafted and you have your name on the market. How do they find
Mhm.
you? And then do you have options?
Yeah, so leading up to, I guess it was NCAA's outdoor, so after senior year, basically, I honestly had my mindset on getting a job as a scribe, just doing something to kind of get, I guess, get my foot in the door for a medical career. Eventually, I was going to work for a little while, just kind of train on my own, maybe with Coach Pig some, and then work and then study for whatever grad school I wanted to go to, whether it be med school or PA school or something like that, PT. And then on the way, I'm pretty sure Coach Pig and I were having this conversation on the way to the airport, just about like what I wanted to do, and that was what I was planning on. I was pretty set on that. Um, Thursday night was the race. It went terribly. But and I was pretty devastated and like just pretty upset about it. And then Grace was like, "Hey, Eden, Coach Pig said that the coaches of Atlanta Track Club want to talk to you." I was like, "After that?"
Yeah,
um,
right. It's funny. It's like, what?
and it's like, why would they want to do that? But it actually ended up working out really well, because before going, my mom was buying the family's plane tickets or whatever. She's like, "When are you going? When, like, let's stay an extra day." I was like, "No, let's just go home right after the race." And obviously so we ended up staying an extra day, but after the race that night, I was like, "See, Mom, this is why I wanted to go home right away, because now I just have to stay here an extra day." But it worked out because that extra day gave me a chance to meet the coaches. And I honestly had no, like, I looked up professional running groups a little bit, but like that wasn't anywhere on my radar really. I was like, I'm staying with dad and mom. I don't really want to go anywhere if I don't have to. But then when I met them and, we talked about the track club and just the stuff they do, and I got in the car after talking to them and I was like, wow, I might have changed my mind. So that was, early mid June. I ended up taking a visit to Atlanta over 4th of July. I got to watch the peach tree for the first time. And then from then it was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And then just kind of, it was a really busy time for them, but just kind of waiting on the contract and going up to Atlanta and looking for apartments. So it really wasn't my intention, like even going into nationals. And then when I met them there, that kind of changed it. And I'm so happy that my mom convinced me to stay that extra day,
Hmm.
because
It
it might
really
have turned
worked.
out a little bit differently.
Hmm.
But yeah, and it was definitely like a weird, not weird, but it was kind of stressful and exciting, just because I don't know if stressful is the right word, but it's like I always like leaving Jacksonville, leaving my parents, going to Atlanta, even though it's not that far away, was just a really big step out of my comfort zone. But that was something that Coach Pig and I talked about too. It's like, what who like if we're just stuck with comfortable, like what might we be missing. So that was it, but it was also exciting because it's like I was given the opportunity to like do what I really love. And I know, not everyone gets that, so it's really special and I'm definitely really thankful for it.
Hmm. What was it really that sold it to you?
Um, I think it was kind of I mean, I guess having the coaches, having the team. I feel like now that, I've been training on my own a lot, obviously bit almost constant contact with my coaches, but having to run on my own and not have my teammates to work out with and stuff. Grace has been awesome. She'll run or bike with me or something. But it does make me really miss the team, because there's just something about, all of us getting together and training together, and everyone is super motivated. But from the coaches, from how they coach, and they talk to Coach Pig also, and the transition between college and professional, they made that, really clear, and how they weren't, they weren't going to do anything crazy, they're to just like a drastic switch, it was really doable. And then just kind of like the expectations of what it is to run, and to really get to focus on running. Like, we did that a lot in school, right? But it was always student athlete, right? We're students, and that makes perfect sense. But here it's kind of like athlete first, which was just really cool to get to have the opportunity to like focus on running, and make that your job. Obviously there's stuff you have to do on the side to make it work. It's not, I mean, I'm nowhere near as good as that level, but it's not like football or basketball or baseball. It's um but I guess just really focusing on running and recovery and eating right, and stretching, like all this stuff that goes into running that could make you so much better. That I don't know, just kind of that structure they provided, and just their guidance and stuff. It all just sounded really cool, and they didn't, it's exactly what I'm finding out, being a part of the team, and I'm really, it's a really great setup, really.
What have you felt evolve in your running or training or diet from UNF since being in this environment?
Yeah, I think one thing, like, as far as training goes, my mileage has kind of, it's jumped several times. I've done longer runs than I've ever done before, harder workouts than I've ever done before. Just the level, like in college, with school and everything going on, we couldn't really, just a lot of other stressors, that, we couldn't really get push to a certain degree, just because, it might totally burn out or something. But it's kind of neat to get to like kind of push those levels a little bit and push yourself a little more. And then, I mean, just learning a lot from teammates who have been doing this a lot longer than I've been doing it. And just being more, I'm probably also one of the worst at like really knowing like a whole ton about the running world and what's going on, but just like learning about different things that you can do, and recovery days, and then workout days, long runs, altitude camp. That was something new for me. I've gone to 3 so far, which is like extra just focus on running, which is really neat, and tiring at the same time, but it's really cool. So definitely I feel like I have grown as a runner in terms of like, things that I can do. Obviously, anything that I do, I just learn it from my coaches and my teammates. If it weren't for them, obviously I have no idea what I'm doing whatsoever. But just, I guess just the level is a little bit more intense, a little higher. But definitely running at UNF couldn't have been a better way to prepare for it. Um,
What are what are some of your practices? What do they look like? What does your training look like? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so some days, we'll, on like easy run days or recovery run days, a lot of times we don't have like a formal practice. Like we might, run with a teammate, or like I might run with my roommates or something. Or we'll get together just for an easy run, and but the big days are our workout days. And then, we'll start with a warm up, we'll all do drills, and then get into the workout. And that's just something, having so many people to work out with is really cool. And then, we'll go like back at the office, we'll go back there, and we have like a weight room, a training room, and we'll lift there. Actually, it's kind of fun. Just a couple hours ago, I was on a Zoom lift with our whole team. Our
That's
coach was
cool.
leading us, and we've been doing that. I guess almost this entire time we've been doing that several times a week. There were a couple weeks where our coach gave us a little bit of time off, but That's a big part of it. And then, they really emphasize, things that you would think that are little, but that really have a big uh, difference. Like rehab, like prehab, PT stuff, stretching, rolling out, napping. Just there's so many things that we can do to really make sure that we can recover, and really be the best that we can be. They might seem like little insignificant things, but they really do make a difference. um,
What are some of those nuances that you've picked up on? Because I know there's so many ways to cut corners, or not cut corners rather, but to iron out your game a little bit as a runner.
yeah, that Coach Pig always emphasized. I remember, I think it was junior year or senior year, we all had running logs, and coach is like, I want you to add a little spot there for sleeping. Because if you're not sleeping enough, that's a big problem. Like, you can have, the best mileage of the week, but if your sleep is pretty bad, like, what's that gonna do? I mean, that's really kind of, I think, for a cut, I never thought, really go in, but we have like dynamic stretching that we should do every day. And then just like really focusing. I've been having some Achilles issues. Nothing like major, but it can get pretty annoying. But there are things that, we can do to kind of take care of that. And it's funny the difference that it makes when I do it or when I get a little lazy and miss it. Like the difference is pretty obvious. Um, and I mean, just kind of the way we do our workouts, as far as like pace and all this stuff, when to like push. Like the coaches will let us know, like, is this a workout where you should really, push a lot harder to like beat the paces that I give you, or is this kind of more like a tune-up workout or something? But it's really cool just to have such, um just like the detail that goes into it, the time that goes into it, and how they really work hard to take care of us and make sure that we're doing the right things.
Hmm. How does that work as a distance runner in terms of a hard workout? Because so much of it is mileage based. It
Mhm.
gets to a point where it's, you have to be conscious of your level of exertion.
Mhm.
How does that look like then?
Yeah, so it yeah, it's like, I guess, so sometimes, we have like our track group and then like the marathon group. Right now I've been doing a lot of workouts as the same as the track people. But my goal is eventually marathon. We're still trying to build up to that. But there are differences in the workouts, whereas the track people might have some shorter reps focused on speed. Um, the big workout for the distance runners might be um, like a longer tempo or something like that, or like just like longer reps, really, where you just kind of have to dial in on that pace, and just kind of stick with it, which is something cool too with Coach Pig. We did a lot of tempos, and they were much shorter than any, maybe than some of the tempos that I've done here, but it really flows really well together, and was a really good prep for that. My the coach is just giving us the workouts and stuff. A lot of like my teammates who have been on the team for a while kind of know like what would be the next thing or what's coming, just because they've done so many buildups. I'm still kind of learning that. But and some of my reps might still be shorter than some of the ones who have been there longer. But my goal is to get up to what they can do sometime,
Hmm.
hopefully sooner rather than later. But we'll see.
What's the background of most of the runners that are also on the Atlanta Track Club? What are they collegiate runners, or where are they
Yeah,
from?
most of them, yeah, they all ran at different places. Actually, three of my teammates now all ran when Coach Pig coached at Georgia. They were all
Oh,
his
okay.
athletes. So that was another thing that actually made going there more quickly just because I almost felt like I knew them a little bit just because we
Mm-hmm.
heard a lot about them. So yeah, all those three went to Georgia. There are several from Georgia, but there are also others from like New York, from up north a little bit more. But everyone's in Atlanta, and they were all really, really great college athletes, and even better now. But yeah, there's definitely a good mix of like middle distance runners and marathoners, and then a little bit in between. But it's a really great group of people, and I love hanging out with them, learning from them, and training with them.
What's the biggest difference in the structure of competition from collegiate to professional track and field, where, and whether you were competing in cross country or in indoor or outdoor at UNF, it was, pretty clear cut. You're competing against a team or a number of teams or
Hmm.
individuals. What is that like in professional running?
Yeah, so I haven't done much. Actually, I haven't done any like outdoor track. Um, During outdoor season, I kind of focused on some longer road races. But I mean, when I like did indoor, the in the first few months that I was with the track club, it was kind of similar. We went to some of the same meets that maybe we went to um, while we were at UNF, but you just in um, but so you still have a good mix. Like in some races, you'll be in there with maybe with college people or others. But um, I guess I guess a lot of times you can be in a much faster race. I love road racing, and kind of the elite fields and road races. Just for me to like, and I mean, like, I did this in college, lining up on the same line as some of the fastest girls in the nation, to see the people that you get to line up with on a road race, and kind of see the road race from the front, and just in that, like, the way they take care of you at road races, and all this stuff, and just help make the competition. It's really cool, something that I really didn't know was there. But I mean, a lot of ways it's the same. Also, even if you were just lining up at in the community race or whatever, you just slip on your shoes and warm up and then go. So I mean, it's not like super different. I wouldn't say it's um like, I mean, every time you get to race, obviously now, especially since we don't get to race, since we had races on the calendar, but we're not. You realize how special it is to be able to race. But I wouldn't say it's there are definitely things about it that you couldn't get when you're a college runner. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're all still getting on the line and racing. But it is cool when you get to do that and know that, like, this is your job and what you're
Hmm.
doing. Um, that's kind of something.
Sure. Have you traveled much for competitions?
Yeah, I definitely did a lot of traveling, more than usual, or more than I have. So we went to three altitude. I went to three altitude camps so far, two in Flagstaff, one in Albuquerque.
Oh,
And then
cool.
from there, yeah, it was awesome. And then from there, we'll usually go to a race or something. So raced in Phoenix, Pittsburgh, Philly, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Um, we were planning on doing some track races, like Peyton Jordan and things like that after this last camp, but obviously change of plans there. But it definitely has taken me to other places that I haven't been before.
How was running in
Um,
Flagstaff?
it was very hard
Yeah.
at first, but once you get used to it, and then just kind of, we'll get a couple houses, and being with the teammates and just kind of getting to know each other a little more. And then the places you get to run there, even in Albuquerque, like, you don't see that around here for sure. Just like
Very flat. Hmm.
long long dirt roads with like mountains in the background. Like one time I was running there, I was like, I can't believe I get to do this. Like, it's just, yeah, I loved it out there. I was looking forward to going back this time around. Actually, we were gonna be there um a lot of March and April. And then like 2 days before we were leaving, they're like, okay, we can't go obviously anymore because of what's going on.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I love it out there, and I never thought I would go to New Mexico, but I loved Albuquerque.
Hmm.
Just the spots to run there, and then definitely a little harder to breathe, but you know, you get used to it. And but yeah, I love those places. Just the paths you get to run on, and um, the mountains are definitely a little different.
Yeah, it probably opens your eyes a little bit to running when you kind of incorporate the scenic aspect of
Mhm.
running in a cool place,
Yeah.
like that's definitely a different experience.
Mhm.
Um,
For sure.
so just cycling back, you start your career in Jacksonville basically, and before UNF even, and now you're going to the West Coast and going up to the Northeast. You didn't start running, according to what I know, until running competitively until high school, right?
Yeah. Sophomore year of high school, pretty much. So, um, I mean, I kind of started running for fun. You know, sometimes in middle school, all my older siblings did it. We were all pretty like active, like soccer, all this stuff. But then, yeah, when I went to my sister and I graduated from Providence, which is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we joined the cross country team there. The coach there coached my older sister, coached my older brother. And I realized that I loved it, but kind of similar to not knowing too much about the professional world coming out of college. I didn't know anything about college sports, and really didn't. I always wanted to go to UNF, and then you start getting a few letters from colleges about filling out the student athlete questionnaire, and then when the one came from UNF, and I was like, that's where I've always wanted to go. And then the opportunity came up. I was like, oh, look at that. And then yeah, so it definitely was kind of late. I guess I know a lot of people who started competing super early. But that's just kind of how it went. And I don't know. I feel like it was it worked out pretty well.
I think so. I think that's safe to say I mean, I just have your accolades written out here. There's quite a few. Uh, when did you realize that you were good? You were really good.
I guess thinking about college, so freshman year went pretty well, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, like that's great." Sophomore year was pretty tough. But I guess, and then junior year was going way better, and then I guess there was this point. So it was NCAA prelims, outdoor track. We were in Lexington. And to make it to NCAA's, you had to be top 12. And I was 12th. Like I just got in there, and it was like it was kind of a tough race. Like I kind of fell apart, but then I kind of was able to come back a little bit. And it ended up being just enough. And that was like an amazing experience. To kind of realize like, oh, what if you didn't just have to squeak by and get 12th place? Like maybe you could actually get in a little more decisively. So then that kind of clicked. I mean, getting to Eugene junior year was just like really, um, really motivating. And then also junior year cross country, just like barely missing making it to nationals for cross country, was like you're pretty close. Like you can probably do a little bit more. So let's go see what you can do. So I guess that like probably junior year, particularly the track season, was just kind of like eye opening, and like, hey, what if you could do it. And yeah, I guess that race might have been a pretty, um, I guess, eye-opening race kind of.
So that race, when you look back on, if you didn't get 12th, that your future maybe was going to be different, or at least you thought it would be different.
Maybe I think like just getting to Eugene, um, that just something about being at that track and place. It was like, maybe you do belong here kind of thing. Obviously I was still gonna try however I could senior year. Um, but that definitely helped kind of, um, with just like focusing on running kind of, and seeing what could happen. But I mean, I think it all kind of just comes back to the, just the support that we had, and coaches, and just kind of telling you that you could do it. So that was like a big race, but I wouldn't say that was like, I don't know if there was like really one moment kind of that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of a combination of things, but that race definitely helped.
Mm-hmm. What was the sacrifice like in college to really have the career that you did at UNF?
It was, so college was so hard. That's one thing. I don't think I did anything but run, eat, sleep, and study.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask my family. We would like go out to dinner, and I would have like a folder with like all my notes, and like literally be like
Be
studying while
working.
we were
Mm-hmm.
at the restaurant. So it took a lot of work. Um, I guess some discipline there. Um, but we had great coaches, great academic support, just the whole UNF athletics, and even professors too. They really helped, and I don't think there's one person that I could have done it without. Just it was hard. You had to have a lot of discipline, but we had a lot of help. Obviously, you had to study a lot, and no one can really study for you. But trying to balance everything and staying staying sane.
Mm-hmm.
I Like I said earlier, a lot of people probably saw me cry a lot because I was very stressed out. But I wouldn't have it any other way, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. What did you feel developed the most about yourself and about yourself as a runner when you're at UNF?
Just still learning more about running. I mean, we kind of just talked about how I didn't really start competing or running competitively until kind of later in high school than maybe other people would have. Um, but just, you know, just learning more about the running world. I had no idea that people ran a 10K on a track. Like, I thought, who would do that? Like, I can
Yeah.
barely run a 2
It's
mile
like
on
you're
a
running in a
track.
circle. What's going on here? Why are
Yeah,
you
like,
doing that
why
long?
would you do
Yeah.
that? And then it was like, hey, you can run the 10K, Eden. I was like, say what? Um, but I mean, just things, just learning about more workouts, and just competition, and I don't know, just a lot of things about running that it's an amazing sport, and there's so many parts of it that I maybe took for granted a bit in high school, and wasn't all that, um, not that I wasn't serious about it, but just things that you learn. And I feel like what I learned from, um, our coaches, specifically Coach Pig, Krupa, Coach Adam, Coach Rachel, um, the strength trainers, and everything. There's just so much that goes into it that really helps to make you a better runner. Um, but yeah, I mean, I still say it today, if it weren't for those coaches, my coaches now, my teammates now, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Hopefully I'm picking it up and storing it. But there's just like so much that I never really saw. Like, that goes into it that really helps. And then also being part of being part of Atlanta Track Club, another thing that you see, from just like putting a race together standpoint too, makes you appreciate that a lot more as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah, more than just the act of the
Mhm.
competition.
Mhm.
Why do you like running?
Good question. I, there's just something about, mm, like, I don't know, there's just something about pushing yourself and doing something that's tough. Some days it's easy, you just say, I'm gonna go out and enjoy like an easy run or something. But there's just something about it that, like with all this school, like I don't know what, sure, I might have had a lot more time to study in school if I wasn't running, but like there's just something about it that, just really kind of clears your head, and there's just something refreshing about it. And then just I feel like there are a lot of, like pushing through hard things, and pushing yourself to see what you can really do. Um, uh, yeah, it's such a terrible answer, but there's
That's
just something about running that you don't get from other things, and to be able to make that something that you love, to be able to really pursue that and to be given the chance to do that is an amazing opportunity. And yeah.
no, I think it's a really underappreciated element of running is the clarity that it gives you after you
Mhm.
run. I
Mhm.
run quite a bit on my own time and when I can. And that to me, if I know that I have a long day ahead of me or I have something else I need to do later in the day and I'm not quite there mentally, it always makes me sharper afterwards.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it really does go a long way for other areas of your life.
Mhm.
Um, you seem pretty, cool and collected, but were you ever nervous in some of these huge races?
Yes. Yes, very nervous. I get nervous before my workouts, even
Uh-huh.
even the night before. And that's something I need to work on too. But yeah, I mean, I can it helps, when you're up there with some teammates that you've been training with a lot, and even other people who aren't your teammates who you've raced before. But it's cool getting to race now. Some people that we raced in college, we were wearing different college jerseys. Now we're wearing different pro jerseys. That's really fun. But yes, I can become a nervous wreck. Some of my teammates at UNF will remember me like crying at the start line of some races. Um, Other times I might have been laughing just to try and calm myself down. But yes, I get so nervous. But kind of trying to work through that and just kind of, I guess embrace that as part of it, but kind of channeling that to use it for a purpose.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's definitely I I mean some I think I can be a little more relaxed now. But my nerves are always there and can get a little crazy sometimes depending on the event.
How do nerves affect a runner? Because it's a little bit different if you're maybe doing something like basketball, where if you're so nervous, you literally cannot have the right form to shoot.
Mhm.
With running, would it be breathing maybe that it kind of disrupts?
Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, just tightening up and tensing up. Like if your form gets off, like you can, uh, you know, lose a lot of time just to that because you're just not running efficiently anymore. Um, I guess one thing at UNF was I always did this head tilt.
Yeah, I've seen
Um,
those pictures.
and yeah, and I kind of still do that. My coaches say I'm getting a little better. But when I do, like, say I'm running, I see like a split is bad, and then I'll just kind of freak out. And then I would just like automatically tighten up. My head might fall over and my arms get badly. But yeah, there's so many like form is really important as far as efficiency and like really getting able to run faster. So I mean, you can use like I know a lot of people can use their, if you get nervous, like that's kind of part of the game. um but they're definitely, I practice in terms of being able to um, just kind of deal with it better, because that definitely affects it. The difference for me going to workout when I'm feeling a little more relaxed or when I'm just like super nervous, it's pretty clear. And but yeah, that definitely can have a big effect on it, especially like in a long race. I mean, the longest I've done so far is a half marathon, but like if like say you're in a marathon or something, a million things can go wrong, but you have to kind of be able to focus on like maybe what seems like to be the only good thing. But yeah, there are so many things that can happen. Like, I don't know, maybe you got cut off or something, or you almost tripped, that like you can let affect you, but you kind of have to be a little stronger than that, and figure out how to better deal with all the things.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of half marathons, you dominated a half marathon in Jacksonville. Do you have a favorite running accomplishment, or do you have a favorite?
Um,
And then, do you have a favorite route to run in Jacksonville?
okay. Favorite running accomplishment so far, I think, would be this past Gate River run.
Mm-hmm.
It's the USA 15K champs. And I came in third. That was kind of at the for one thing, it was cool to be on that course, and I think that's probably my favorite run around favorite run too, just because I mean I've done that race so many times, just you know as part of a long run in college, or in high school. I did it with my dad or something like that. So it's always been just like a part of at least what our family did. And then so to be running that home course pretty much, and then but to also be wearing the Atlanta Track Club uniform was something special. And then also just there were some breakthroughs in that race mentally, kind of, that I feel like I might have hit. And then time wise also, I think I PR'd through 10K in that race. And then also like kind of one thing I like is having, um, knowing that my my family was running it too. My
Yeah.
dad, my sister, my aunt, their friends, our friends, just, you see so many people, and so that's always been a special race. And then to kind of finish how I did, was pretty special. And then obviously getting to run on roads that you probably don't get to run on, around Jacksonville, but that's definitely a nice route there. The Jax half was also a really cool route as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, I do my runs around my parents' neighborhood.
Yep.
And I've been doing the same stuff for 2 months. And sometimes it'll be like, well, it'd be nice to be running somewhere else, but um, this is where I grew up, and I love it. We see people out who are like, I saw you since you were, like running with your dad or something. So it's I mean, I love it here. This is for sure home.
How was it having the college experience in your hometown?
It was great. I loved it. I appreciated getting to be at home. And then um, whenever you have a home race, it was always nice. I mean, even when we had an away race, our parents would. I think they were at probably almost everyone, at least one of them, no matter how far it was. They always tried to get there. But just having family is really important to me, and all my siblings, they're a little more spread out now, but having everyone was pretty much here for the most part. So just having family around, was a really big deal. And then having the great team that we had, the great coaches that we had, and not having to go far away for that, was awesome.
Really made the most of it and made it efficient too. I mean, just, being able to get the things quickly, know where everything is right when you step on campus for the first time.
Yeah.
Speaking of training, is for a professional runner, is it cheating to train with music?
No.
Okay, because I'm
I
always
wouldn't
so
call it
curious.
cheating.
I'm like, because I've heard people make that argument where they
Yeah,
were like, it's not fair, you know.
I think there if you I don't typically listen to music when I run.
Okay.
I sometimes I like listen to a podcast or something. I try to avoid music just for me, just because I know, music helps me a lot. So I don't want to get used to that just because you can't do that in a race. But if someone needs to run with their headphones to go out and run, I think it's great that you're going that you're going out to run. So I mean, I think I've seen professional runners doing it some or not doing it. For me, I try to avoid it, but that's just me. Obviously you can't do it in a race, but they're just if you need to go out and train, and that's what gets you through it. I think that's a good way to do it. There have been a couple times where like maybe I'll be cooling down after a workout or something that I'll turn it on, but as long as it's like after I got the workout done.
Hmm.
But just personally for me, I try to avoid it.
Gotcha. That makes sense too. You want to emulate the experience of being in competition too.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever, mirrors that the most would be productive. What is something you really focus on with your diet or with your stretching regimen or hydration that you find unique or helpful?
Yeah. I feel like my diet, I mean, I kind of stick with the same things. I'm
Hmm.
very much a creature of habit, and I should probably, you know, change it up a little bit. But just far as kind of doing what you know and doing what you're used to, especially like before a long workout or before a race or something. So I'm pretty plain there. Just kind of do the same stuff. Um, but yeah, like pre-race and stuff or is like really specific kind of down to like the time. Um, but even on my team, we all have so many different things that we do and it works for everyone. I just kind of stick with my little thing that I know. My mom might call it a little picky or a little more, my sister might call it boring. But I think it's been working out. So
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And why change the thing that's not broken? And I think running for sure, it's such a finicky thing because it really, you know, if it's not sitting well with you gastrointestinally, you're
yeah,
going to have bad problems.
especially when, the race is gonna be over an hour long or something
Hmm.
like that could be a problem.
Hmm. Yeah. It's not like you're, you know, playing a football game and, now the offense is on the field, but you're a defender. You can go
Mhm.
to run to the bathroom quickly. I mean,
Mhm.
you are what you are when you start that race, and it's
Mhm.
like, there's going to be
Yep.
pit stops.
Yes.
That's yeah, that's always a little bit sketchy.
That's one thing
Um,
that makes me nervous.
yeah, no, definitely would make sense why you want to keep maybe a basic diet or something simple because
Mhm.
your body's going to react. Um,
Mhm.
what's something that you really enjoy doing during the lockdown, or maybe you've picked up?
Yeah. Long I've always like done walks with my dog, but long walks with my dog and my sister and her dog are some of my favorite times, really.
Hmm.
We just either listen to a podcast together or just talk. I mean, she's my best friend and um, basically did everything with her. So then moving to Atlanta was kind of a big deal, but just really taking advantage. of the time that we get to hang out and do stuff together. She might be a little annoyed at me by now, but I love it. But yeah, no, I mean, just pretty much just spending time with my family, and then just we get to catch up on some shows that we used to watch together. I don't usually watch pretty much anything when I'm by myself. That's just like what I do with Grace. So it's kind of nice to catch up on some shows that we're a little behind on, and yeah, just kind of not having to like deal with Atlanta traffic every day,
That's fair. Yeah, that's
little
definitely
things.
fair. Yeah.
Since the beach opened back up, I've taken my dog there for a couple walks, and that's kind of nice just because we don't get that in Atlanta. But yeah, just kind of enjoying being home. I've always just loved being home. Never really bored at home. Always find something to do, even if it's not much.
Yeah, that's my perspective too. I think boredom's kind of a myth. I think there's always something you can be doing and can find time for, and especially if you have people you care about that are around you. I mean, and you connect with, talking to them and creating those new memories. Anything else that you want to add? Anything else you want to throw in there? Any words of encouragement for any runners or future UNF athletes?
Yeah, UNF is great. That's one. Study hard. But I mean, this time is kind of weird, like we had it all planned out. Like we were going to be in Flagstaff for altitude camp from March 15th to April 15th. Then we were going to go race somewhere. And then 2 days before, all our plans changed. So I guess one thing that I've learned during this time is, to be a little flexible. Training is a little weird just because we're not doing it the same way we used to. But I feel like being flexible and like we will get to race again. We don't really know when that's going to be. But even though we don't know that, we're still training like we are going to race. Nothing is really super different. So I feel like just, kind of being flexible is now something that we have to do. And I feel like that's something that kind of had to learn to deal with. But like it's going to be fine. Just kind of we still have to, do what we have to do. We're still acting like, it's not like everything came to a halt. And so I just say when I saw, like all this stuff about NCAA sports being canceled, like I couldn't imagine if that was my senior year, or even in high school and you're getting ready to go to college, and like you wanted to use that season to really show potential colleges and stuff. So I couldn't imagine if I was in that spot. But I feel like just know that it's going to be fine, and there's still way more to come. I feel like the best is yet to come. And just kind of not being too worried about not knowing too much, just kind of going through it and keep up with training. Really, I mean, that pretty much keeps my head straight, kind of just like the clarity we talked about. But it's just kind of being flexible and just kind of going with it, but still sticking to what and yeah, that was kind of really jumbled up, but made a little more sense in my head.
Keep it simple and do the work you need to do. That's pretty much that's all you can control right now. And a lot of athletes that I've talked to pretty much say the same. I mean,
there's like really so much that we can't control, but there are big things that we can control in our lives, at least. And so just kind of stick with it.
Well, thank you for that, Eden. Thanks for the whole talk today. I know I'd wanted to talk to you for a while, and I'm glad that some good things come of this lockdown. I was able to interview you. So
well, thank you so much.
Yep. Enjoy your time with your family, and stay safe, and good luck when you get back out there.
Thanks. Stay safe.
Before we take off, continue to follow everything that is going on in UNF athletics as we continue to post content on our social media accounts. UNF Ospreys on Twitter, along with all the sports-specific accounts, North Florida Ospreys on Facebook, UNF Ospreys on Instagram, and of course, UNFOspreys.com. We're looking back on each of our seasons, spring seasons included, honoring seniors, and going through other various content, including our greatest moments in history. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you guys here next week.